I tend to fall into the thing of like, are we significant? Is there any meaning to anything ever?
Let me give you an answer, and it it sounds rough when you first hear it
Mm-hmm.
because I'm gonna say no, but that's okay. Just because you are this little pebble on a little pebble,
Mm-hmm.
right? Horton hears the who's this bitch. A speck is a speck, no matter how small, right?
Yep.
A person is a person, no matter how small. Just because you will have absolutely no effect on the overall scope of the universe does not
Mm-hmm.
mean that you do not matter, right?
Heard.
We live in our own worlds.
Yep.
I know main character syndrome is a thing, but truly, you are living life as if you are writing a book about yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? You are creating your own lore and your own universe. Of course, there's things that happen outside of your control that affect your life, of course. But it can be a good book. It can be a significant book in terms of Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or in terms of your family, or in terms of your friends, or in terms of your community, or whatever, right? It doesn't, when you think about, if you look at the blue marble picture and you're like, oh, I'm this small thing on a small thing and a massive, expansive thing,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you could start to think like, yeah, what does it even matter? And like, my life really doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything to the overall scope of the universe, but that does not mean it can't mean something, if that makes sense.
I take that as a inspirational quote time. You write your own story. Doesn't matter who
Yeah,
sees it, but it's your story.
it's your story.
And it reminds me. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Continue.
And it can affect someone.
Mm-hmm.
Your meaning does not have to be a meaning that impacts everybody across the world and is something everybody looks at and be like, that's an example of whatever, or that's whatever, whatever. If I die and my impact is just felt by my wife, by my future kids, and my family, I'm cool with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't have to be this significant figure in whatever to have meaning in my life.
Mm-hmm. That all saying all that reminds me of I haven't watched the whole show. I haven't watched the show at all for that matter. But I had seen a clip of a scene and the show called Scavenger's Reign. It's on Netflix. You can go watch it. I'm going to because it looks fucking interesting. But there was a scene where this guy on an alien planet sort of walks up to a flower and sees it sort of go through its bloom phase. So
Yeah.
it lights up, little dots go up, and it has like little tentacles that are releasing the dots. And then you see this little alien creature that was buried in that flower. And you kind of see him turn around, look at the person that was looking at him, and then turn and do its job, giving the plant life, and then dying immediately.
Yeah.
And it's just like that little creature was only its only purpose was to give life to that plant, and it had no meaning until it was seen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's like it had its impact on somebody, and that's kind of all that mattered. Otherwise, it just wouldn't have. It just would have done what it did and died. And
You
I
know,
kind of
and
take that as long as I have that impact on at least one person, then my life had enough meaning. Enough meaning.
and you know, it really, that can be taken to a very, very extreme level. What I mean by that is, you know, and this is a topic that, you know, you want to tread carefully on.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to people who are like dying too young, you know what I mean? I've heard
Yeah.
so many stories about young kids who are cancer patients who don't make it to the age of 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
But their spirit and their fight and their story, many cancer patients who survived that were around them credit them as being the most inspirational part of their journey.
Yeah.
And I'm not, and saying that your kid's only purpose was to live, 6 years in pain to be an inspiration for people, it's not something I want to force on someone, right? Because that I can't even begin to imagine the amount of pain it would be like to, go through something like that. But I think that if you want to look at a positive from that shitty of a situation, that is a very powerful positive.
Yeah, it has a lot of meaning behind it, and it's like you said, it's a topic to tread very lightly on because I couldn't begin to express what they went through or what they are going through. It just brings into perspective that they had an impact on me, especially hearing about it, seeing it, whatever.
Yeah.
But they didn't have very long to do it.
Yeah,
and it's like, it's deep.
Have you ever, there was a game that was made by this couple whose kid went through cancer. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Yeah, it was a game that you just kind of walked around in, and it had millions of cancer stories in it. But the comments of that and people who played that game always say how much that affected them, and not even just cancer patients, just people who say like this time on earth is short. And not only that, I don't want to turn this religious, but they were a very religious family, and throughout the game it's very prevalent that like the mother's belief in God is the only thing that was keeping her afloat. And it's just a powerful message about faith and about, I'm not saying believe in the Christian God, just having belief in something, that something has you, has your family members. It's just like all this to say the meaningfulness does not have to be significant on the entire universe as a whole to still be significant.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I usually end up coming to terms with by the end of my little existential crisis that I've had from watching space videos of all things. Yeah.